So hello and welcome to the Way to Wellness podcast. If you're in Erie, Pennsylvania and you've driven down Zook Road, you might see the sign, The Way to Healthy Living, or perhaps you found yourself on our website and wondered, what exactly is the Way to Healthy Living? Well, let me tell you, I am Selina Uglow, owner and founder of The Way to Healthy Living back in 2013. I'm a licensed practical nurse and a certified personal trainer, as well as a trained weight loss specialist. And the Way to Healthy Living is exactly what it says, only there's a caveat. It's your way to healthy living. And in this podcast series, what I hope that you are going to gain from is your own personal courage to step into your authentic self and find your own path by creating some balance through the seasons. And speaking of seasons, right now we are in the winter season. Regardless of where you live around the world, this is a particular season where we're finding some slow again and structure because it's on the other side of holidays. From September until December, we are often running, making our way through the many tasks that are going to take us to Thanksgiving and Christmas, two of the biggest holidays that create a lot of social influence and impact on who we are, what we do, what we have time for, and definitely really keep us from taking good care of ourselves simply because of all of things. So now is a great time to come into yourself. The problem is, as our traditional culture come January is, find yourself, fix yourself, get thinner, do more, set your goals, be a resolutionist. And so all we do is jump off of the doing in December and go right into January with some more doing. What's the problem with that? We never truly set positive intentions, create a great game plan, and get where we want to be. So what we become is a repeated failure of success. What do I mean by that? Well, we're still living. You're still living. You're with me here today. So in some ways, you've been successful at being able to pay your bills, still breathe, but maybe you're not getting where you want to be. And that's because we are not taught to slow the roll and really, really be with us. What is it that matters to you? That's a great question to ask yourself. What do you really want out of this year? Another great question to ask yourself. And you know what? The answer to that question often with many of my clients as a coach or even some of our clients in counseling is, I really don't know because no one's ever asked me. Think about it. All of the doing in the world, a lot of what we do for are other people's expectations. Societal norms. I should be this thin. I should be this successful. I should have this much money. What does that do for us? How does it resonate with what really matters to us? That is what the Way to Wellness is all about, is helping you through the next 5 series, 1 today, right? To think about where we are. That's our first. And then the other 5 to kind of cut through the noise and cut through the chase and get to where you are. So stay tuned with me today and let's explore you. What matters to you? What you really want out of this year? And also, most importantly, what do you have to contend with in a daily basis that's going to get you there? So who am I and why would you even listen to me? Well, I will tell you that at age 29, I was diagnosed with colon cancer, and it was a catalytic change to my life because I was once a 248-pound woman married to an abusive husband with 3 kids who had 3 different fathers. So I was the epitome of dysfunction upon dysfunction upon dysfunction with no idea of how to get out of that repeated cycle. And so when I became a licensed practical nurse and then ultimately built my business from coaching to counseling to nutrition education and fitness, what I really had to do was contend with myself. And that's a big part of discovering how we get to our own wellness journey with some success. It's not about what we need to know or the next right thing to do. It's about truly coming to being honest with ourselves. And it's hard to do that when we're busy working and trying to balance a family and the work life and all the things in life, or maybe there's been a very big change that we didn't have any control with in our life, kind of like our kids becoming adults and no one really telling us that this is a hard thing when we go from being a parent to being a partner, or maybe unfortunately a change in job status or marital status or a great loss in your life. It doesn't matter where you are. It's just the difference of giving yourself the permission to say, wait a minute, I'm going to step back right now and I'm going to understand and appreciate with this change, what do I need? What do I want? Where am I going? And so let's just use weight loss as an example. A lot of people come to me and they say, oh, I want to lose 15 pounds. And I'm like, great, that's awesome. And they're like, what do I have to do? Give up cookies? Well, I mean, maybe. Most of the time, not really. Actually, what you do is you have to ask yourself, do you put in planning or priority into your every day, every week, every month that makes sure that you follow through for you? And when you don't, that's where you get lost, because then other things and other people dictate what you're doing. So why does that matter? If you never take a hard look at the why behind what you do and what you don't do for yourself, so that you can be that person you want to be for everyone else, then we actually don't ever get anywhere. We're just constantly changing, constantly adjusting, and constantly looking at, gosh, I never got there, but I've got to do this now, so let me go over here and let me do this. Instead of, let me go ahead and be able to put something on my to-done list that mattered to me. That's a really, really important part of this journey. So let's talk honestly for a minute. When you came into January and you felt compelled, especially in today's market, to drop that 20 pounds or to change that job or to save that money and get that new car, were you compelled to do that because that's what you really wanted? Or were you compelled to do that because of all the noise that was coming at you? Because the problem with noise is that noise continues to pound you and pound you and pound you until you find yourself in burnout, until you're disappointed because you didn't get there, or until you feel like you've already failed before you got started. So this journey isn't about the doing right now. This journey is about finding your focus. So we don't need 10 goals. We don't need great things to do, $100 to save or 20 pounds to lose. We really need to come into focus with, what are 3 things based off of my reflections of last year that I want to make a priority this year? 3 things. That's it. And they make a difference. Think about it. If you have 10 boxes in a closet and you need to clean that closet, but those 10 boxes are cumbersome and overwhelming and you avoid pulling anything out, it never gets done. But if you take that 10 boxes and you took it down to, all right, every Tuesday I'm going to go in that closet and I'm going to take a box out of that closet and I'm going to manage that one box. I'm going to stay present with that one task. Take a picture of that closet. And in 3 weeks, there's a hole big enough to fit 3 more boxes. That's what progress means. It's just like that 20 pounds. You didn't wake up one day 20 pounds heavier. It happened probably over 2, 5, or even 10 years of change. So to think that you're going to make the decision that you're going to lose that 20 pounds and in 2 weeks after eating salads every day, which by the way are a side, not a meal, you're going to be 20 pounds lighter, that doesn't get you anywhere. That's that failed success we talked about. So let's focus in on 3 things. What do you have to contend with on a daily basis to get where you want to be? Maybe you're not honest with yourself. Maybe that's something to contend with. And it starts with stopping the white lies. Believe it or not, large dishonesty with self begins with white lies to others. So how we stop that is we stop looking at people, and you're going to be amazed at how small this is, and saying to them, oh, we got to get together. Pull out your calendar. Set the appointment. Because we got to get together, that's a little white lie. It ain't going to happen. It's kind of like, one day I'm going to quit smoking. Monday. Oh, no, Tuesday. Sunday. Next week. Pull out the calendar. That's a little white lie you don't have to tell anymore, right? Maybe what you have to contend with on a daily basis is the fact that you allow your time to go before you actually include yourself. That's very common, by the way, for women. We'll give everything that we have out into the world, and there'll be some time left at the end of the day. And generally what that means is at 7 or 8 o'clock, when that time is left, you are comforting yourself with chocolates or pretzels or some kind of snack, because the only time you have and the only control you have, now you're going to put that into your mouth because you're feeling a little empty because you didn't give yourself the space. So the lack of planning is what you need to contend with there. And you just put a little planning into it. It doesn't need to be a 7-day commitment. It doesn't need to be a long month commitment. What that planning could be is actually starting your day, looking forward into your day and saying, where do I fit? And then putting that prioritization in, that little block of space is yours. And you can't make that block of space huge if you don't even include yourself now. That's where we go wrong. We want to take a hard left when in actuality what we need is a little curve on the journey. So what I'm going to do if I don't put myself into my schedule at all is I'm going to put 10 minutes. I'm going to start my day, 10 minutes of day, with disconnecting from my phone, not talking to my spouse or family, and I'm going to sit down and do just one thing that I want to do. Maybe it's reading a daily inspiration. Maybe it's writing in a gratitude journal. Maybe it's literally sitting in the bathroom undisturbed for 10 minutes, something that I never do as a mother or as a busy working person who starts at 5 a.m. and ends at 7 p.m. And I'm just going to put that into daily practice. And I'm going to give it about 2 weeks. I'm not going to put any expectations on it. I'm literally going to put that daily practice in, and I'm going to take note of how I feel today by writing that down in a journal. You can just grab your phone and put it in your notes on your calendar. And in 2 weeks after I stay committed, I'm going to check in. Is it different? I can tell you that if you see me on the streets here in Erie and it wasn't different, I will buy you lunch. That's how confident I am. That it's just one small shift. And it's you dealing with you. It's you pulling it back in, that power. So much of who I talk to, especially women who are struggling with weight, a lot of their power is given away because they actually dictate what they eat based on what everyone else in their house wants. Does that sound familiar? And yet, what they eat has nothing to do with your body, your energy, or how you feel about yourself. So we start working on, well, if they don't like what you eat, your main becomes their side, you both win, and you still have dinner together. That's a small shift. We just need permission to say, this is what I need to do for me, and then guidance of how it fits in a life that we live with and for and around everyone else. Is that your aha moment for today? Because I hope so. Let's keep working on that. I know I make it sound really easy, and in some ways I probably do because I've done the work. And I'm not going to lie to you, the work is a lot of work because we're not used to sitting with ourselves. We're just not. We really put ourselves on the shelf, and we change as things are needed to be changed, and we kind of get along and do, and we hope that one day the space will be there for us to achieve the things that we want to. But quite honestly, that's not how it's going to work, and we're going to run out of time because we're all here with an end date that we have no idea is coming, right? So when I tell you it's about the small shifts and I make it sound easy, I'm going to challenge you to put your walls down right now. Stop with the impossible. Well, you don't know. You're not in my life. You don't have my kids. You don't have my job. My boss is stressful. My husband doesn't help me. My partner doesn't help me. All of the things, all of the excuses. Right now, today, in this little hour with me, I want you to ask yourself a limitless question. If all things were perfect and all resources were available, what 3 things do I want to accomplish this year? Here is the caveat. You have to be able to accomplish them. I remember one time I had a woman come into my office and she wanted to lose weight, and she told me she had a particular dress that she wanted to fit into. I will always remember this because this is what we do when we set ourselves up for failure. So we worked together for like 15 weeks. She lost weight. She felt great. She was really energetic. And we got to the end of it and I said, well, did you try the dress on? And she goes, yeah, it didn't fit. And I went, wow, she really made significant changes. And I said, well, how far apart was the zipper when you tried it on when we get started? And she looked at me and she said, well, I don't know. I never really tried the dress on. I just knew that I liked it and I wanted to see myself in it. And I thought to myself, now come on, let's be realistic. That's really important when we're setting up the 3 things we want to accomplish this year. We can't want to be a billionaire if we're starting with $10 in the bank account and we only have about 6 or 8 months to make that happen. So when you sit with yourself and you set yourself up with your goals, as we go through this podcast series, and I hope you will join us for more because we have some really great guests coming to help us kind of whittle through the chaos and the noise that we have and learn to trust ourselves and kind of embrace the possibility. I'm sharing with you it is a possibility. The first thing we have to be is aware of our walls. We are our biggest obstacle. You'll never guess who our second biggest obstacle is. Are you ready? Brace yourself. It's the person that loves you the most. Why? Because it's their opinion that matters. And even though we don't discuss that, we assume it. We assume we know everything about what they want for us. We assume we know everything about how they will support us. And sometimes we assume that they will never jeopardize us. When in fact, what I have found through my years of experience as a coach, that the biggest obstacle outside of ourselves is the people that love us, because when we embrace change, true change that we've been talking about for years and actually make happen, whoa, everyone around us starts to get a little bit uncomfortable. Not necessarily because it isn't what they want, or what they don't want for us. It's more about the mirror that we're putting up in front of them. And we kind of have to come to terms with that, because this journey isn't about them, but we are energetically a ripple around everyone that we're with and that we love every day. And if we don't acknowledge that up front, if we don't take stock in how that's going to impact our decisions, how that impacts the guilt and the shame and the judgment response, as well as sometimes diminishes our ability to celebrate our own successes, then again, we are setting up ourselves for failed success. So let's just sit with that for a minute. Let me explain to you what that means. What we do in our lives, the boundaries that we set, the way we accept other people's treatment of us, the way that we do for other people, that sets the stage for how we are accepted, how we are treated, and what others ask of us, even when it's not good for us. And so as we go into this journey of deciding what we want for 2026, we actually want to just really think about, if I make these changes, these 3 changes that I want to make, how are other people in our lives going to feel? Now you're going to hear, especially in my industry, do you, boo-boo. I don't know if you remember that phrase. Maybe I'm older than I think I am. But right now it's do whatever matters to you and don't worry about anyone else. That's all well and good, but you don't live in a world bubble that's all you. So if we take some stock right now about if I got 20 pounds thinner and I achieve my goals, is my partner going to feel uncomfortable with that? Is that going to create any insecurities? Should I have conversations about that? Or are there flags that I need to look for so that I can address that when they arise, rather than having to feel like I shouldn't be feeling good about losing the weight? And sometimes, especially in our partners, if that is going to make them feel insecure, you're going to notice that as you're becoming successful, there's going to be little suggestions once in a while to go get ice cream more often. Or maybe they're going to gift you with food and love because they like to keep you comfortable because they've become comfortable with you as you are. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not sabotage. It's not malicious. It's literally just change. And I would challenge you to think about it. When was the last time you were comfortable with change? And so it's really important as you set your priorities for this year that you take stock in how that is going to ripple out and affect those around you and those that you love. Even just confidence. If it's a physical change, like going to the gym and getting more exercise and feeling more energetic, sometimes when you bring that higher energy around to people who are used to you having low energy, they're like, whoa, what is up with you? And I don't know if I really want to be around you anymore. And are you ready for that kind of energy in return? These are the things that help us get right with our decisions for our goals. How's it going to affect those around me, how I interact with other people, and how is it going to affect me personally when that happens? Timing is probably one of the biggest excuses I get as a coach. I don't have time for that. Oh my gosh, where am I going to fit that in? Well, let me tell you, if you want true change this year, the first thing you need to do is take stock of the time that you spend on your phone. It is a social media trap now, right? We scroll. I don't know about you, but last year I took a hard look. And what I did as a business owner is I set a timeline, 4 hours a day max to be on my phone. And I pay attention every week when I get it. And it says your weekly report was. And I always try to get under 4 hours because I have to be on my phone as a business person. When I first started that journey, I was shocked to see that I had like 6.5, 7 hours of mixed time on my phone. What was I complaining about time for? If I had all that time to doom scroll and to check emails and send texts and to look at things on the internet, what could I have been doing with that other time? It's amazing when we actually get real with ourselves. Remember I said you have to be honest with yourself. You have to ask yourself what you have to contend with. So if time is an issue, let's look at where our time goes now. Let's not be judgmental. Let's not say, oh my gosh, if they didn't need so much of me, then I would have all the time in the world to take care of me. That is not a good perspective to practice if we're trying to get somewhere. Let's ask ourselves, why do they interrupt me so much? Do I not sit down and have weekly meetings with the family household like I would a business if I was leading? Life is a business. So if you want better time, here's the deal. On Saturdays or Sundays, if you're a Monday through Friday worker, go ahead and sit with your family. Get everybody's calendars out. What's on your calendar? What's going on your calendar? Let's put it together. Here's our free space. Oh, here's where we need to rearrange some things. It's amazing when you communicate ahead of time how much time you save not having to put out fires because you thought you existed in your world, they thought they existed in their world, and you're all trying to live in the same world in a 7-day span, right? That's a great barrier eliminator. Here's another great barrier eliminator. Learn to say no. And we're going to dive into this. We're going to dive into this hard down the line. But right now, what I would love for you to do as you're sitting with your priorities for this year, if you want something in a space that is already taken, much like those boxes, what is the one thing that you're going to have to maybe not do, or the one thing you're going to have to replace it with, right? I don't like restriction, and I actually don't even appreciate the idea of eliminating. I'm all about replacing. Think about it. If you have a vehicle sitting in your driveway, but you don't have anywhere to go at all, you're good. You're very comfortable. But I come along and I take that vehicle out of your driveway and I put it in the shop, but I don't know when I'm going to be done with it. How's that feel? Now all of a sudden, when am I going to get to the grocery store? What if I have a haircut? What if I have to go somewhere? What about you feel the anxiety rolling in there? So when we remove things, it's just in our nature to then panic and feel like we've lost control. Versus when we replace things, we actually feel good about that. So as you're looking at your 3 goals, to remove a barrier, instead of saying, oh my gosh, one of the things that I have to contend with is I spend too much money. I just have to stop spending money. That's not going to work. You're going to fail. We know that. So instead of that, how about replacing that mindset with, okay, if I want to save $100 and that local coffee costs me $6 or $12, depending on where I shop, I'm going to make coffee day Thursday instead of Monday through Friday. There's a couple of things that happen in that. I feel good on Thursdays because it's coffee day. It's like a special bonus day, and I'm going to go spend my money. The other thing is, parallel to still having my coffee, so I'm not restricting myself, I'm also getting a double whammy. I'm putting money in the bank that I didn't have. Learning to work with ourselves, the things that we have to contend with, is a key part of self-awareness, into priority, and ultimately actions that you're going to stick with. That's why everyone quits the gym by the 3rd week of January to the 2nd week of February. Because when they jump off and they get into this doing, they're going to go to the gym and they're going to do it 5 days a week. They're going to go from couch to 5 days a week. And they're really good at it for like 2.5 weeks until that 1 week where work gets too overwhelming, they get out of that practice, or maybe they hurt themselves because they went from couch to gym 5 days a week with any stretching. And then they're right back where they started, plus worse. Let's ease into these changes by finding suitable replacements and thinking about what we actually need before we even step off into the action plan for the goal to make changes with. And here's a very big key thing. You don't need more money to make it happen for yourself. You don't need more time to make it happen for yourself. You don't need perfect conditions. We are not stepping into this year coming from a point of intention with anything more than the acceptance of, if I want something different than I already have, or if I want something better beyond what I've already done, or even if I want to maintain where I started in January of 2026 back in 2025, in order to stay committed, I have to recognize that I need to keep making these small little shifts. And the only way I'm going to do that is to learn to work with myself a little better instead of criticizing myself all of the time. So we've talked about really taking stock in how the things that we want for ourselves this year are going to affect our relationships with those that we love, particularly in our closest circles. That's an important part of this because those are the circles that matter to us. We have also talked about being kind to ourselves, and instead of trying to negate all of our flaws, finding ways to work with ourselves. And we're going to expand upon that in some of our future podcasts, because that in itself, that's a task to take on. So as you're setting your 3 priorities, your focus for this year, and that's really all it's about. I want to resist the urge with you to dive right into how you're getting it done. I want you to analyze right now. Analyze what it is that you want, why it is you want it, and some of the things that may have to be made room for if you're going to go ahead and get it. Don't even worry about focusing on the how. We're literally just coming to terms with, when we look at the last year, what were the moments we enjoyed most? What about those moments mattered? How are we carrying forward some of those experiences? When we look at last year, what are some of the things we don't want to repeat? Let's go there right now, okay? It's very important because a lot of the things that we don't want to repeat, we end up repeating because we never address the underlying habits that got us there. What is it about last year that you don't want to bring forward into this year? And what do you need to do to make that happen? Are you someone who just carries and ruminates over and over and over again the things that you think about, how it should have went, how it could have went? They need to apologize to me. I need to apologize to them. Are you one of those individuals? And if so, here's the key to that. If it cannot be resolved, then it does need to be forgiven. And what are some ways that you can do that? Well, you can write it down on a piece of paper and maybe burn it outside in a fire pit, rip it up. If you want to put a little aggression in it, you could rip it up, crumple it up, and then throw it away. But when you do that, you need to make the commitment to yourself that it no longer serves you. Now I'm going to say this, I'm going to swear, I'm just going to put that right out there. If you want to go into this year actually setting your intentions and getting it done, you need to, through this process right now, empty the shit bag of stuff that you carry on your back, put it on the floor, and let's figure out what you actually still need to pick up and carry, what you need to leave behind, and what you need to resolve. And we look at, what do I need to carry forward? These are the things that we carry with us that might be a little piece and a part that are a driving force for us. Sometimes we don't need to let go of everything that has happened that we did not want to happen or that we felt was bad in our lives, because it's still an underlying driving force for where we're going to go. That's the first thing. Sometimes we have to look at it and we have to leave it there. When we have unresolved conflict, we sometimes have to ask ourselves, are they going to listen? Am I going to be heard? Is this going to matter? Or does it even matter as much as it does to me, to that other party? That's huge. And if some of those questions give you the indication, like I think they will, that it's just time to simply let it be what it was, accept the reasons for it, and acknowledge that you were a different person then. That's not who you are now anyway. And maybe that relationship had a purpose and a time in your life, but it can no longer play a role. It's no longer a weight that you carry. That's very important. And then lastly, and this takes a lot of courage, there are some things that are holding you back from feeling like you deserve to do the things that you want to do because you have not resolved conflict, either with yourself in past experiences, decisions you've made, choices, whatever, or with others in conflicts that you've had. If they can be resolved, maybe that's part of the 3 goals you set this year, working to resolve them. And in future podcasts, we're going to talk about boundaries and communication and techniques that can bring resolve without more conflict. But it's important to recognize that what you're doing right now as you're setting these intentions is you're also determining what you're going to carry forward into this coming year, into this season of your life. Seasons are different. One of the seasons that I struggle with, I have had to learn how to be a partner. I even struggled a little bit saying that, rather than a parent with my grown children who now have their own children. And I'm just going to say this, one of the reasons for doing this podcast, one of the reasons for having this business, is there are a lot of things that I'm going to share with you, experiences and professionals that I'm going to bring forward, simply because no one told me this was coming. Can you relate with that? And yet here we are trying to live our healthiest and best lives and bring balance forward and figure it out at the same time. But that's what we're going to do together. We're going to do that through the Way to Wellness podcast and especially through the mini-series that we have for you. And we thank you for coming in and appreciate you being here. So as we move through this journey together, I am going to be super excited to get your feedback. Make sure that you reach out. You can reach out to us at The Way to Healthy Living. You can reach out to us in the message bank of the podcast. We want to know, how's your experience going? And if you're shy, do it in private. The next time we get together, I am so excited to talk about this. We are going to dive into life's transitions. Mary Beth Pinto, who has been a professor, a lifelong learner, a wonderful woman in volunteering, and she will tell you her proudest moment as being a grandmother, is going to join us. And she and I together are going to laugh with you as we talk about the various stages of life and how they play a big role in our own ability to stay centered in our journey, in our wellness, and in our self-care. It's more than just listening. It's getting a support circle. It's recognize that we are all flawed, and it's also celebrating that those little moments that we might sit with as failures are actually to done items that we can add to our list and take as lessons to what we're about to do next.